Welcome to SKC, Sapna Kohli classes. Today, we'll do lesson number 3 from the book First Flight. The name of the lesson is Two Stories About Flying. Two Stories About Flying, as the title itself conveys, is about two stories, both of which deal with the experience of flying. One story describes the maiden flight experience of a baby seagull, while the other story shares the flying experience of the pilot of a Dakota plane. Let us begin the reading of part 1, His First Flight. The young seagull was alone on his ledge. Now, seagull. Seagull is a sea bird. Was alone on his ledge. Ledge is a narrow horizontal shelf projecting from a wall or a cliff. His two brothers and his sister had already flown away the day before. The seagull was alone because his two brothers and his sister had already flown away a day before. He had been afraid to fly with them. The seagull was scared to fly with them, so he was left alone on the ledge. Somehow, when he had taken a little run forward to the brink of the ledge, brink means edge of the end of the ledge, and attempted to flap his wings. Flap means flutter his wings. Somehow, when he had taken a little run forward to the edge of the ledge and attempted to flutter his wings to fly, he became scared. The great expanse means expansion of sea, stretched down beneath. Stretch means spread down beneath. And it was such a long way down, miles down. So the young seagull got scared when he saw the vast expanse of sea below. He felt sure that his wings would never support him. The young seagull thought that his wings would not support him. He was not confident. This shows his lack of confidence. He was not confident that his wings would support him. So he bent his head and ran away back to the little hole under the ledge where he slept at night. Even when each of his brothers and his little sister, whose wings were far shorter than his own, ran to the brink, flapped their wings, and flew away, he failed to muster up. Muster means gather up courage to take that plunge. Plunge means risk, which appeared to him so desperate. Desperate means hopeless. So the meaning of these lines is that the young seagull was not confident that his wings would support him, although his brothers and his sisters' wings were shorter than his wings. Still, they ran to the end of the ledge, flapped their wings, and they were able to fly. But still, the seagull was not able to gather up courage to take that risk. His father and mother had come around calling to him shrilly. Shrilly means in a sharp voice, upbraiding him. Upbraiding means scolding him, threatening to let him starve on his ledge unless he flew away. But for the life of him, he could not move. So the young seagull's parents, uh, they they even encouraged him, right? They encouraged him. Then they even scolded him. They threatened him to let him starve on his ledge, but still nothing could make the seagull fly. So the encouraging words of his parents, their yelling, their scolding, and their threats could not make the seagull move. That was 24 hours ago. Since then, nobody had come near him. So the seagull was left all alone. Nobody was around him. The day before, all day long, he had watched his parents flying about with his brothers and sister, perfecting them in the art of flight, teaching them how to skim. Skim means to move slightly just above a surface. So here the surface is sea. Skim the waves and how to dive for fish. So the young seagull, the parents, they were very frustrated, right? And they could not make the seagull move. So they went away. And all through the day, the young seagull watched his parents teach his brothers and sister the fine art of flying, swimming, and diving for fish. He had, in fact, seen his older brother catch his first herring. Herring is a soft finned sea fish and devour it. Devour means eat it or swallow it. He even watched his elder brother catch his first fish and swallow it standing on a rock while his parents circled around, raising a proud cackle. Cackle is sound. It loud sound, loud, unpleasant sound. Right? So here it means that the parents of the seagull, they circled around his brother, his older brother, and as he caught his first fish and swallowed it. They were very proud of him. And all the morning, the whole family had walked about on the big plateau midway down the opposite cliff, taunting him with his cowardice. Cowardice is lack of courage. So, all through the morning, the next morning, the entire family walked on the big plateau on the opposite cliff, right? And they appeared to be taunting the seagull, right, with his lack for his lack of courage. The sun was now ascending the sky, blazing. Blazing means very bright and hot. The sun was now ascending. Ascending means going higher and higher, blazing on his ledge that faced the south. He felt the heat because he had not eaten since the previous nightfall. So, as the sun ascended the sky, the young seagull started feeling hungry. He had not eaten anything since the previous evening. He stepped slowly out to the brink edge of the ledge and standing on one leg with the other leg hidden under his wing, closed an eye. So the seagull moved slowly to the end of the ledge, and he stood on one leg and he hid his other leg under his wing. He closed an eye, then he closed the other eye also, and pretended to be falling asleep. Still, they took no notice of him. So, he tried to attract the attention of his parents by pretending to sleep. Still, they took no notice of him. Nobody looked at him. Nobody bothered about him. He saw his two brothers and his sister lying on the plateau, dozing with their heads. Now, dozing here means that they were feeling very sleepy, right? So, dozing with their heads sunk into their neck, necks. So, their heads were hidden into their necks. So, they were lying on the plateau and they were feeling very sleepy. His father was preening the feathers on his white back. And what was his father doing? He was making an effort to maintain his feathers right on his white back. Preening means making an effort to maintain feathers. Only his mother was looking at him. So no one took notice of him. His brothers and sisters were dozing on the plateau with their heads hidden in the neck, and his father was maintaining his white feathers. Only his mother looked at him. She was standing on a little high hump. Hump is a raised area, right? Hump or elevated area, you can say, on the plateau. Her white breast thrust forward. Thrust means they were pushed forward. Now and again, she tore at a piece of fish that lay at her feet and then scraped. Scrap means rubbed each side of her beak on the rock. So the mother was looking at the seagull, and now and again she used to tear a piece of fish that lay at her feet, and then she used to rub each side of her beak to sharpen it on the rock. The sight of the food maddened him. The seagull was very hungry, so the sight of food made him mad with hunger. How he loved to tear food that way, scraping his beak now and again to wet it. Wet here means sharpen it. So the seagull was very fond of rubbing his beak the way his mother was doing, right? And now to sharpen it. And he loved to tear the food that way. Ga, 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 he cried, begging, requesting her mother to bring him some food. So the seagull requested his mother to give him some food. Gaw, call, ah, she screamed back derisively. Derisively means in a manner showing that someone is stupid. So the mother, she replied, and when the seagull requested his mother to give him some food, she in turn was in no mood of helping him, right? But he still kept calling plaintively. But the seagull still kept calling his mother plaintively means sorrowfully, requesting her to give him something to eat. And after a minute or so, he uttered a joyful scream. And after a minute, all of a sudden, the seagull shouted with joy. Why did the seagull shout with joy? His mother had picked up a piece of the fish and flying across to him with it, because his mother had picked up a piece of fish and she was coming towards him. So he felt that his mother was bringing something for him to eat. He leaned out, he bent out eagerly, tapping the rock. Tapping the rock means beating the rock with his feet, trying to get nearer to her as she flew across. As the mother was coming towards her, so the seagull was very happy and started tapping his feet, beating his feet, tapping the rock with his feet, and trying to get nearer to her as she flew across. But when she was just opposite to him, when his mother reached close to him, she was just opposite to him, she halted, she stopped. Her wings motionless, her wings stopped fluttering. The piece of fish in her beak almost within the reach of his beak. So the piece of fish which was in the beak of his mother was within the reach of the seagull's beak. He waited a moment in surprise, wondering, thinking why she did not come nearer. So the mother all of a sudden stopped. The seagull was surprised why the mother was not coming to him and giving him the piece of fish. And then, maddened by hunger, he dived at the fish. He jumped at the fish. With a loud scream, he fell outwards and downwards into the space. Already The seagull had reached the end of the ledge, and when the seagull dived at the fish, he fell outwards and downwards into open air. Then a monstrous terror seized him. Then a terrible fear caught him, and his heart stood still. So the seagull fell outwards and downwards in the space, giving a loud scream. He was terrified and felt as if his heart would stop beating. He could hear nothing. He could not hear anything. But it only lasted a minute. But this fear lasted only for a minute. The next moment, he felt his wings spread outwards. The wind rushed against his breast feathers, then under his stomach and against his wings. So, this terror-stricken state lasted just for a minute, and soon he found his wings spreading out, the wind rushing against the wings and under his breast and stomach. He could feel the tips of his wings cutting through the air. He was not falling headlong now. Headlong now means with his head downwards. He was not falling with his head downwards now. Rather, he was soaring. Soaring means flying, right? Flying gradually downwards and outwards. So, his wings started spreading out, the wind rushing against the wings, and gradually his wings started cutting through the wind and he began to fly. He was no longer afraid. He just felt a bit dizzy. Dizzy means an uncomfortable feeling of spinning around, losing one's balance. So he was no longer scared now. He was just feeling little bit dizzy. Then he flapped his wings once and he soared and he flew upwards. Ga, 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 call, ah. His mother swooped past him and it started flying and it produced a sound also. And the seagull was now fearless and rose upwards, right? And his mother swooped past him. So his mother all of a sudden crossed him, her wings making a loud noise. He answered her with another scream. Then his father flew over him screaming. So the mother and the father were screaming. It means his mother and his father appreciated and encouraged him by flying by his side. So this was the way of encouraging the seagull, as it was the first flight of the seagull. He saw his two brothers and his sister flying around him, curveting. Curveting means leaping like a horse and banking and soaring and diving. So even his brother and sister flew close to him. He was near the sea now, flying straight over it. Now he was right over the sea, facing straight out over the ocean. He he saw he saw a vast green sea beneath him with little ridges. Ridges means mountain ranges moving over it, and he turned his beak sideways and cawed amusedly. Now, now the seagull was straight over the sea and he flew fearlessly over the vast sea. The first flight of the young seagull turned out to be a success, and the seagull enjoyed the scene down below. His parents and his mother. So chord is a sound produced. Amusedly means that he was enjoying the scene. He enjoyed it. His parents and his brothers and sister had landed on this green flooring ahead of him. Green flooring refers to the surface of the sea. Right? His parents, his brothers, and his sister, they were all sitting on the surface of the sea. They were beckoning to him. Beckoning here means they were asking him, they were calling him to, the beckoning to him, calling shrilly. So in a shrill voice, they were asking him to come down. He dropped his legs to stand on the green sea. So the seagull came down to stand on the green sea. His legs sank into it. So his legs went into the water. He screamed, he shouted with fright, fear, and attempted to rise again, flapping his wings. So the seagull was scared and he tried to fly again. But he was tired and weak with hunger. But the seagull felt tired and he was unable to rise because of exhaustion, exhausted by the strange exercise. So seagull was very exhausted, so he could not fly. His feet sank into the green sea. His feet went into the sea. Then his belly, his stomach touched it, and he sank no further. He was floating on it. He started floating on the sea, and around him, his family was screaming, praising him, and their beaks were offering him scraps, pieces of dogfish. He had made his first flight. So all the members of his family applauded him as he had successfully accomplished his first flight. So this lesson, First Flight, it conveys the message that self-reliance is very important and parents should encourage their children to have a strong belief. No one attains success instantly. Repeated trials and errors lead one to success. Then we should remember that God helps those who help themselves. Failures are stepping stones to success. That's all for this video. If you've liked my explanation, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.